everybody, welcome back to AmityBloom. My name is Nazi. Thank you for joining me today. In this video I wanted to talk about a magazine that I use, same as I do with vintage children's books. I use it to cut out and use as ephemera or tip-ins in my journaling. Now this magazine is not really known, it's not that common, but it's amazing for paper lovers or for someone that just wants to find inspiration or someone that just wants to have a good magazine to read. And here's an example of the types of things that I typically cut out from the magazine. And just a little side note, this plate, you guys, this plate is, I suggest if you like florals, go to Walmart. I don't know, in my local Walmart they had it. Go to Walmart, and it's from the Pioneer Woman collection. You will be so happy. There's a bunch of plates, mugs. I also got this little like coffee creamer thing, and here I was going to put some of my pencils and some of my art pens. And you know me, I like to use plates to put my ephemera. I have this one, the one that I usually show that is basically overflowing at this point. That's not good. Okay, back to what I was saying. So on here, this is just a little example of the things that I like to cut out from the magazine. As you can see, a bunch of florals, a bunch of text font, even like recipes. They have recipes on here that I like. Vintage images, images of birds, some stories of like castles and gardens, and look at this image. That's going to go on top of a journal. So really pretty images, and if you're familiar with my previous videos, you know that I tend to have a little envelope, this, which is my little envelope that I tend to keep all of my floral, cut aparts, really. So just floral images that I really like and that I cut up, and I can use them in my journaling. All of these florals come from this magazine. They don't come from scrapbook paper, they don't come from children's books. They come from this magazine. This is the magazine. It's called Daphne's Diary. Originally from the UK, I believe. That's where I believe it gets made. For the US folks, I typically pick this up at Barnes & Noble and Joann's, and sometimes I see it at Michael's, but very rarely. Go to Barnes & Noble, where like the Flow magazine is and the sewing magazines are. You will find this magazine. It's $13 for a magazine, but they come out every 2 months. They don't do it every month. And for me, $13 every 2 months, that is a deal for what you get inside of here. So let me show you. I kind of took some notes before filming. This was the first magazine that I ever got. I found this at Joann's just browsing, and it's from 2015. So this was the first. This was what introduced me to Daphne's Diary, and I haven't looked back since. What drew me is the covers, obviously. The covers, this is my favorite cover thus far. But the covers are just so beautiful. They're so beautiful. They immediately draw you in, and then the covers kind of give little sneaks as to what's inside of the magazine. So this is just a couple, more than a couple. So let me give you a quick little flip through of the things that are included in this magazine. First, some of the things are, if you can see, it's a little bit glossy. They give you little mini projects, just like the Flow magazine does. They give you mini projects, so this is a paper bag, it looks like. So you can cut this up, it tells you where to cut, it tells you where to fold, and you can make these little projects. They also give you these little cards, which is perfect for pen pals or to put inside your journal. They give you stickers and even coloring book sections. And then, this is what I love about the magazine. Let's just move stuff around. There we go. There's no room. This is what I love. The designs, the border designs, the font, the pictures of the places. This is Venice, Italy. There's just so much you can read, you can learn. There's so much inspiration. You can cut out these frames and put your own pictures inside of them. Or if you've been to Venice or if you've been to Italy, you can cut this out and, you know, journal about your time there. Even though they're not your pictures, you can still journal about it. So this is another page. What I would do here is, of course, I'd read the whole magazine first and then I'd cut it up. But I'd cut out this little frame here and put a picture or something different, or just keep it like this. and put this in my journal. I'd cut out the flowers, I'd cut up these little cottages. Even though they're not the pictures that I take, you can still use them for art journaling. Look at these. Ooh, so pretty. Let's flip a couple pages just to show you kind of what's included. Here, this full page. You can use it as scrapbook paper, or you can use this as a journal cover. They show you different artists from all over the world. See, this is what I mean by cutting out the strips of paper and putting them in my green envelope. Here's another one. You can cut out this whole frame or use this as borders on your journal pages. They show you how to do things with fabric. So it's like a craft, inspirational, vintage magazine. Here you can cut up these little flowers and put that in your journal. It's just so beautiful. And then you can cut out the text font. Like if I have to say like 5 things that I love about this magazine, probably number 1 is the cover. I love the cover. Number 2, it has a lot of birds, you know me, birds, flowers, and the typewriter text font. And it's vintage. So what a perfect magazine. But this one, and when I discovered this, I was mind blown. And I first found it at Joann's and they only had like 3 copies. They didn't have it at Barnes & Noble yet. So I did my research and I found that it was based in the UK. And I was like, well, that kind of sucks because I don't live in the UK. They don't really do subscriptions to the United States. If they do now, please let me know. I might be wrong with that. But when I started with this Daphne's Diary addiction, they did not. But when I found out that Barnes & Noble sold them, you don't have to get a subscription. You can just go to Barnes & Noble and pick it up there. Here's another one that I like. I put little sticky notes on. More of these projects. Here you can make a paper teapot. So this is kind of, if you have kids, they can help you out with this. Here I would cut out all of the strips of floral paper. Let's see if you're in frame. And use that in my journal. Or for my pen pals, I include some of this stuff for my pen pals. If you'd like to be one of my pen pals, my P.O. box is down below and you might get one of these little goodies. See? I tend to use these with my pen pals. You can put to and from, and they're like little mini postcards, and you can write something on the back. Here on this picture, even though I don't really know who these people are, which is a little creepy, I would still cut this out and put them in my journal because there's something mystical and just magical about it. See, I would cut out these little pictures, or I'd cut out the phrases because it's in the typewriter text. And who cares? It's your journal. Put whatever you like in there. My thing is, you don't have to journal about what necessarily is going on in your life. You can do just a collage of your favorite images. Here's another page, a little bit more on the vintage side, not too girly and frilly, but I love it. I still love it. You can cut these out. It talks about Da Vinci. You can put that in your journal, like little facts here and there. So what I like is that there's a little bit for everyone. There's not only like there's information on artists, it shows you, random stores throughout the world that do really great crafts. There's sometimes even poems that you can put in your journal or you can frame them. There's art projects in here. There's even recipes. See, this is another little project to make a paper hat. And here are some recipes, like a spinach and ricotta pie, where it talks about garden facts. If you like gardening, it tells you some tips and tricks for gardening. So I can't say more good things about this magazine. Oh my goodness, look at these florals. And then it's sometimes Daphne, I'm imagining Daphne is the creator, obviously, Daphne's Diary. And sometimes she talks about her life and her family. And it's really great to read the stories of other people who have the same, inspiration as you do with crafting. So you can use this stuff for whatever you'd like. And then here, look at this floral paper. And then sometimes you get posters. And then it says on the back, normally a really beautiful design, have a great day, see you soon, and then when the following Daphne's Diary will be out. And then sometimes they give you posters. I can't even fit this into frame, but if you can only see how beautiful this poster is, and you can cut these and make these as journal covers, you can use them as wrapping paper, you can use them as posters, whatever you'd like to make with this. The possibilities are endless. And so yeah, let me just show you a little flip through. This is my most favorite cover. I think I want to frame this. I love it so much. I love this cover. See, and then she says, "Dear Diary," and she just begins with a little, sometimes quotes or a story or an insight as to her life in that period of time. And so let me do a quick flip through so that this video isn't so long. But yes, I know people really talk about the Flow magazine, and don't get me wrong, the Flow oh, this is so beautiful. Are these postcards? Those are postcards, you guys. Oof, getting excited. The possibilities are endless, and like I was saying, oh, look at this floral. Like I was saying, I hear people talk a lot about the Flow magazine, and yes, the Flow magazine is awesome. It's a magazine for paper lovers, but I honestly like this more than the Flow magazine because there's just so much more. And the Flow magazine, I love it, but I just, the images in there, or sometimes it's not as vintage as I'd like it to be, and this is more of my style. So when I saw this, I had to get more. So I'm so happy. Check your local Barnes & Noble to see if they carry it. If not, check your Joann's. And I know those two places definitely sell them because for a year now, I've been buying them for every 2 months, and they're always stocked. I never run out. So yeah, let me just quickly do a little, oh, see, they even showed some recipes, but like drawn out. And so it features different artists. Oh, look at that floral. A tire seat. So see, it's just cute little vintage stuff. I love it. So definitely, if you can, give this, oh, I forgot about this. These are like cute little squares that you can cut. Oh, this is beautiful. It's a tiny little spring book. See, so you can make a little book, or you can just cut these out and put them in your junk journal. I know there's some of these Daphne's diaries on eBay, but sometimes they just sell them for exuberant amount of, it's just too expensive. So hit up those first two places. And then on these two magazines, as you can see, they're very thin because I've already, oops, there you go. I've already butchered most of it. I've just left some of these pretty floral papers that I need to cut up. I'm gonna frame that. A real English country garden. Oh, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. So these are just some tags that I like to give to some of my pen pals. It's just so colorful and pretty. In my journal, let's move this aside. In my journal, in my zipper pouch in the back, I tend to keep little tidbits. And in here, all of this, like 80% of it comes from this magazine. As you can see, here's one, a little botanical illustration. This came from like a button from the magazine, and I actually used this to create, I have a journaling process video of it in this journal. I used it to embellish the page. And so who would have guessed that this came from that magazine? This paper also came from that magazine. This little floral strip came from that magazine. So much things. This here, oops, the cover fell off, so sorry. Here, this little cluster came from that magazine, and then I made it, oops, I made it into a little pocket. So all of this came from that magazine. And what I particularly love about the cutouts is that it's actually paper. You know how some magazine, it's glossy, like here? This was from one of the glossy papers in the magazine. You can't necessarily write on that, or if you put this in your journal, you can tell that's from a magazine. But most of the stuff, like 98% of the stuff, is made with this like recycled, well, it doesn't feel like recycled, just paper, like regular copy paper, which is so completely awesome because when you put this into your journal, it looks like it's part of your journal, if that makes sense. There's no gloss. You can write over it, you can doodle over it. That's what I initially love about this. That's what kind of stopped me from using actual magazines in my journal. I use it in my art journal, but not in my like journaling, diary kind of journal, because I didn't like that gloss. I like to make it look as if it is part of the page, and sometimes when you have a glossy element, it does not look like it's part of the page. So that's another thing that I love about the magazine. So I hope you enjoyed. Please go to your nearest Barnes & Noble or your Joann's or somewhere, or even check eBay to see if you find a good deal, and try to get your hands on one of these magazines. You will not be disappointed, trust me. So that was that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please, may your day be filled with an abundance of peace, love, and creativity. Switching it up there. Bye-bye.